I'll go to the former chairman of the full committee, Mr. Burton, for 5 minutes.
Nice seeing you again.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it sure has. You know, it's very interesting, Mr. Attorney General. For 6 years, I remember when you were with Janet Reno and the Deputy Attorney General, and we fought to get documents, and we had a difficult time. And you've said here today that there's certain documents that you will not give us because of the separation of powers. Now, we've been down that road before, and we got them. But we had to threaten that we would have a contempt citation in Congress. This is not just during the Reno administration, but during Gonzalez as well. And we got the documents. So I think you're hiding behind something here that will not stand up. So you ought to give us the documents. Now, we received 6,000 documents with redactions, and I know that's an old school policy. You know, send them up here and cross out everything of relevance and let us try to figure out what it is. And you dump them on us on Friday night so that the staff here can't do anything with them unless they stay over the weekend and work 10, 12, 14 hours. I've been down that road too. Now, there's 93,000 documents. 93,000 documents that you're not giving this committee. And you're saying, well, the separation of powers prohibits you from doing that. That's baloney. That is just baloney. And I worked with you for 6 years. Well, I wouldn't say with you. I've worked for 6 years when you were the Deputy Attorney General. So why don't you give us those documents? The conclusion that I come to is there's some things in there that's being hidden that you don't want us to see. I don't know if it involves you or some other ATF agents or some other members of the Justice Department. But this committee is the Oversight Committee, and we have every right under the Constitution to check on what you're doing. We're supposed to oversee the executive branch, and you are part of that branch. So for you to deny this committee anything like that is just dead wrong, and I don't think you're going to find any way that you can do it. And I would urge the chairman to move a contempt citation against you if you don't give them to us. Now, let me just ask you a couple of questions. Why won't you let Patrick Cunningham, the head of the criminal division in Phoenix, and Emery Hurley, come and a line prosecutor, why won't you let them come and talk to the committee? If you can't let them do it publicly, you ought to let them do it in a private setting. Why won't you let them do that?
Well, a couple things. Just for the record, I was only a Deputy Attorney General for 4 years.
Well, okay, 4 years.
It seemed like 6.
It seemed like longer than that for me.
Well, all right, longer than 6 for me as well, then. One of the other realities...
Would the gentleman yield?
I'd be happy to yield.
Since Mr. Cunningham has now taken the fifth, I would say none of us have that direct authority, but to add to the gentleman's question, would you make all testimony and information on Mr. Cunningham immediately available to us, unredacted, so we may evaluate to a great extent what you know about why he took the fifth? Go ahead. I yield back.
Well, in terms of making available, I'm not sure where you get the number of 93,000 documents. The redactions that have occurred are only because there are things that are either not relevant or are protected by grand jury secrecy rules, court orders that have sealed material. We have provided to this committee material that is relevant and only redacted that which is necessary, and there's a key that tells you why something was redacted. With regard to the two people you've talked about, Hurley, Mr. Hurley is a line prosecutor, and we never make line prosecutors available. That is, every attorney general that I know has followed that policy. Mr. Cunningham no longer works in the Justice Department, and so I don't have the ability to compel him to testify. He left the Justice Department, I think, this past Monday or last Friday.
Did you ask him to leave, I guess, did you?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
He left on his own after he took the Fifth Amendment?
He had planned to leave well before he invoked his Fifth Amendment privilege to take a job in private practice or at a company.
As I understand it, the IG has 80,000 documents, and you've given us 6,000. So whether we're talking about 93 documents or 80,000, this committee has asked for those and has not gotten them, and it appears as though we're being stonewalled and there's something that's being hidden. Let me ask you another question. Have you apologized personally to the whistleblowers who were in effect called liars by those within your own agency, when we now know they were telling the truth? And we wouldn't know any of this today if they hadn't come forward. And I'm talking about people like John Dodson, who's here today, and Peter Forcelli. Have you apologized to them personally?
I have not apologized to them. I've spoke to Mr. Dodson, Agent Dodson, at the beginning of the hearing when the chairman was kind enough to bring him by. I gave him my telephone number and told him to give me a call if he wants to talk about the way he...
Give you a call?
Give me a call.
Why don't you call him and apologize? Because you're the Attorney General of the United States, and you're in charge of these people, and they were in effect called liars, and they were telling the truth. And I think as the head of that agency, it should be your responsibility to say, hey, guys, I'm sorry that you were called liars when you did tell the truth.
I'm not aware of them being called liars, but beyond that, what we've tried to do is treat them with respect. I don't think any adverse action has been taken against any of the people who came here and testified before this committee. To the extent that there are concerns that Mr. Dodson has, I'd be more than glad to talk to him about them. I will note, however, that he's had a meeting with the acting director of ATF, and I think he has expressed whatever his thoughts were, at least at that time. If that's not been sufficient, as I said, I'm more than glad to have a conversation with him.
I wish you would call him.
The gentleman's time is expired. Did you want to answer on the Cunningham question of materials that in your possession now that he has left under this cloud?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was under a cloud, but anyway, he...
Taking the fifth's not a cloud?
I don't know why he took the fifth. There are a variety of reasons, not the least of which was that apparently there was a report issued by this committee, or a statement by this committee, that he had acted inappropriately. I don't know why he invoked the Fifth Amendment privilege. That is certainly his right as an American citizen. We have provided already 153 documents with regard to Mr. Cunningham that entails about 387 pages of material. We'll continue to look at that material, and to the extent that there is information that is relevant, we'll provide it to the committee.
I thank you.